Hey YouTube, um, welcome, and I'd like to continue on with my series of my 2016 predictions there. So my next one is going to be who's going to be the next president, and so don't go hating on me. I don't like getting into politics too much. Everybody gets mad, and you always offend somebody. Um, my disclaimer is I do not make the future; I only predict it. So don't get mad at me. I'm just telling you the predictions. And my prediction for the next president will be Donald Trump. And it'd be almost sad if he wasn't elected president. And the reason being is, and I'm getting kind of old now. I'm half a century years old. I've seen a lot of stuff. And this feels almost like the late 70s when Jimmy Carter was in office. And for I know a lot of viewers probably don't even know who he was, except, I don't know, he did a lot of stuff after he was president. When he was president, he was a nice guy in a time when we needed somebody who was going to get stuff done. It almost feels reminiscent. You hear a lot of people talking about Barack Obama like that, and I'm not dissing on Barack Obama. I'm just saying, he's not a very firm guy with overseas policy and stuff. At least it doesn't appear that way. And that's how it was for Jimmy Carter. I'm going to give you a little bit of history from what I remember, and I've probably got some of the stuff wrong. It's getting a long time ago, and I'm getting older, and my brain doesn't work as good as it used to. But there was this big not Iran Contra, that came later, Iranian hostage situation. That all these hostages, and I can't remember if it was, I get them kind of mixed up because there was a couple of really big ones at the time. I think they captured some Olympians, and I don't know if they're with the same group, but right into that, there's also a huge tragedy that happened where there's I believe it was a truck bomb, but I can't remember what kind of bomb it was, but they basically blew up some barracks in Beirut and killed a lot of Marines there. And then there was this huge hostage situation taken, and the news media was every night for almost like 365 days or something like that, was every night the hostage situation. It started day one because they had a lot of, it was a pretty bad situation. They had all these hostages and they're threatening to kill them. And it wasn't just, that was the big one, but there's also all these other pockets as everybody was taking hostages from all different parts of the, mostly Americans that we heard about, but there were different countries, like anybody who was in the Western Hemisphere was fair game, and it was way getting out of control. You had Gaddafi at the time. I can't remember if they blew up that jet, but anyways, we had a problem with Libya at the time, and it was just getting way out of hand in the Middle East. And then on top of that, we had this huge gas embargo things. Again, I hope I'm not offending anybody, and I can't remember if I got this right or not, but it seemed like the Arab coalition, they didn't call it that, they called it a cartel back then, was controlling all the oil. The United States didn't have a huge influence in the region like it does now. And they got mad and kind of got into the whole thing and basically said, you know what, United States, we're cutting off your oil supply. And the United States, I don't know if we had our oil reserves at that time, and that may have we have these huge oil reserves. Just Google it sometimes. I mean, it'd be phenomenal how much oil we can stock in these giant barrels out in someplace. You can see pictures of them on the internet and stuff. But I don't know if they built that in response to it or not. But basically, there was gas shortage lines. They had all kinds of, and I was too young. I didn't even drive at that time. But I remember passing the gas stations, and I talked to people, and they had weird laws and stuff, like if your license plate number ended in an even number or an odd number would dictate which day you could go to the gas pump. And it didn't matter anyways, because you go by and there's these huge lines of people trying to get gas for their cars, and that was only the people that had the correct license plate schema or whatever deal they came up with at that time. And it was really pretty bad. And then they tried to, it was really sad, they tried to release, Jimmy Carter tried to send over the Delta Force, which is, at the time I believe it was the Air Force's Special Ops, and they sent these helicopter guys over, and they got caught in the middle of a desert storm, interesting name there, and the helicopter crashed, and then it was pretty bad, because then they were showing all the military bodies on TV and everything, and it was just a horrible situation. It was kind of like you expected the cavalry to arrive and go in there and rescue all the hostages, and then it just dramatically went bad. And like I said, there was a storm and the helicopters all crashed and a lot of servicemen died and stuff. And so it almost feels like that time again. And then the 80s came, and then when Reagan came, he was kind of like a president like nobody had ever seen before. I mean, he did all kinds. I'm not even going to get into all the stuff he did, but um, he did really kind of like Trump was talking. Nobody's saying Trump's the next Reagan, but a lot of the stuff, it's kind of cool because he never refers to himself. At least I haven't heard him saying that. But a lot of the stuff, putting pride back in the United States. And if you look at the stuff that happened in the 80s, it's incredible. We used to have, like you have earthquake drills and stuff. They used to have nuclear drills because we were in a big Cold War with Russia at the time. And there was Germany was divided in half with a big wall, and people would get shot trying to run across that wall, trying to escape from East Germany to West Germany. They'd shoot them down, and anyways, when it started looking like Reagan was going to get elected, the Middle East started getting real scared, and it was funny. Well, it wasn't funny, but when he did win the election, immediately people started releasing hostages, and it was like he was like, "It's too late. You should have done that before I got elected, because now you guys are in trouble." And I got a feeling that that's going to happen is if Trump wins the election, I think you're going to see all these people doing all these weird stuff overseas are going to be suddenly like, if they're smart, well, it probably won't matter if he follows in the footsteps of Reagan. It's going to be like, you shouldn't have done this in the first place. It's too late now for apologies. It's nice that you're releasing them, but you're going to pay the price now. That's what happened to the whole Middle East after Reagan got elected. I mean, I think I remember they took up battleships up to these oil rigs and said on blowhorns to get off the oil rigs, and the people were jumping off, and they just started shelling them. They just went down the line and blew up all their oil rigs and stuff. And they went in there, and he took the gloves off, and they bombed Gaddafi's tent, right, put a bomb right outside, then says, hey, you better cut your terrorism out, and that pretty much shut him down because he knew they were serious. Anyways, it's almost like the perfect storm for Donald Trump right now, in that, I mean, it's almost the exact same painted pictures of the late 70s. And so it's just going to be really bizarre. And so if he does win, you see these events happen, and you kind of go back and look what happened in the 80s. You can say, hey, this guy on YouTube was talking like this might kind of play out again the way it did in the 80s. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Will he win? I don't know. But it's just kind of weird, the parallelisms you see there. And it would be very interesting to see. And this is the first time in a long time, so many times, like the Republicans will have a whole lineup of guys, and you're like, man, I wouldn't vote for any of these morons. I mean, where did they get these guys from? Same with the Democrat sides. And knowing Trump also, when Hillary gets up there, I mean, if he takes off his gloves, Hillary's got so much baggage. If you study the crazy stuff that's happened from the beginning of the Clinton dynasty, if you want to call it that, they've done some pretty bad stuff that they've gotten them busted and stuff for. And if you want to see some weird stuff, just look at the people that President Clinton pardoned. Go through and find all those people he pardoned and the stuff that they did, and then you'll just be like, what the heck happened there? And anyway, so it's kind of weird there. So if he was probably, he's around at that time. If he's the kind of guy that might just take off the gloves and start bringing up all this bag dirt that was like really serious stuff that the Clintons did, and if he does, I mean, I don't think she's got a chance. And I think nobody on the Democrat side is basically going to come down to Trump and Hillary. And if Donald Trump takes off the gloves, and he's been known to do that, and I think what's really cool is he understands the population a lot better than most politicians do. That's why the news media and the current politicians are really confused when he makes a statement. They're like, "Oh, that's a killer. You can't say that," and then his polls bump, and they just don't get it. There's something called, you can study something called the silent majority, and I think that's what you're seeing it happen a lot of times. A lot of people don't talk about politics, but they still go to the polls and votes, and that's where you have these dramatic surprises and stuff. And it's hard to predict when those things happen, when everybody just says, hey, I'm not going to talk about it, just going to go to the polls and do my thing and vote. And sometimes they have landsides in one way or another that shocks the media and stuff. And they just can't figure out Trump right now. So I don't know if he'll make it, but it'd be kind of a shame if he didn't, because I think it'd be very exciting to see what he would do. It seems like most of the time the great presidents are tied into politics. It seems like when we get a professional politician that becomes president, it just seems like things don't turn out well. Anyhow, So that's my prediction for 2016 is Donald Trump will become president. And so I might not get it right, but if I do, remember you heard it here first. Anyways, if you like this video, hit like and thumbs up there. And if you subscribe, you'll see more videos as they come out. Sorry for the rambling. I don't know. It's kind of reminiscing and stuff and going back in history. There's so much that happened in the 80s. If you can, maybe I'll do a video one of these days of all the stuff that I can remember that happened in the 80s. There was tons of breakthroughs and really cool stuff that people just take for granted now. Anyways, again, I hope you like this. Sorry about the rambling, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.